No.
Yeah.
No. What are you doing? Oh, stop. He is the person who saved us. We would not be here. Mackenzie would not be at the school she's at. We would not be here without him. We would be in a completely different way. You embrace me and you accept my insanity, even when I was a realtor. You make me feel good to be me. But you make me feel validated for being a human and for being alive.
The best part of what you've done thus far is you have made an impact, and you have, through your gift of grace and compassion and through your ability to share, you really are a living embodiment of your message. And I just feel so very grateful that not only that you would be a guest, but my very first one. And that will always mean something to me. Thank you for joining us. I'm so excited to have Candice as part of the very first episode of Record What Matters with Lorie Burch. My name is Lorie Burch. Good thing is the show's called that. And the idea behind Record What Matters, as a multi-decade estate planning and probate attorney who's also done many, many other things, I've learned that really this is much more about than just organizing your estate, that it's about preserving and recording the values you have, the lessons you've learned, the stories, and really your voice. And while estate planning protects what you leave behind financially and what you may want for children or spouse or whomever you're looking to care for, what this is really about is capturing who you are and how you want to be remembered in your own words for the people who matter most. What I have learned in the years of doing this is that losing a loved one is one of the most painful experiences we go through as human beings. It feels so final. It's the first thing they go through. If the first thing they go through is a legal mess, unnecessary expenses, uncertainty, possible family disagreements, and extreme overwhelm, it delays the healing. It delays the memories and celebration. And what I've come to learn is that death is not final. It can define the very last chapter of your story and how you'd like to be remembered. So when it comes to an estate plan, a will, a trust, or whatnot, it isn't about documents. It's not even just about money and assets. It's about you. It's about who you are, how you lived, how you want to be remembered, and how your loved ones will heal and tell your story. Estate planning is a form of storytelling and makes way for the bigger message of your life. So Candice, thank you for being a part of the show. So the first thing we want to do, so welcome Candice, is I want to talk about why this conversation matters. What is it? So obviously I wouldn't be doing this and having a show with my name in it if I didn't think it was important, but I want to understand where it comes from for you. So what is important for you to think about when it comes to what you'll leave behind, and what made you start reflecting on this being an important thing to document?
So my girls lost their dad in 2020. And so I don't know if you've heard of this thing called Storyworth, where you can type your stories and it makes a book for you. I gifted that to all the grandparents and gifted them homework. I very much want to have the kids to have those stories and have those memories because they don't have that with their dad. So making sure that they have something to hold on to, that they can go back and it's an actual book. They can read it, because pictures are great. Videos are incredible. But sometimes you want to hear what was your first job? What was that random Sunday, what was that about? So that's kind of what keeps me reflective and why I take a zillion pictures, is because I want my kids to have that to look back on. And I want them to have something, if I'm not here and they have kids, they can show their kids. It's something that we didn't do before Chris passed away. And I kicked myself every time that we didn't do it.
Why are you doing that now? Because a lot of people, it's well, I'll get around to that, or, this when I'm older or what have you. And the flip side is so much is going to change and evolve, right? So why take that snapshot now? I mean, I have my reasons or else I wouldn't be doing this, but why do you see that as an important thing for us to be doing now when that's more than likely going to evolve? There's going to be more, you're going to have to keep adding to it and all of that, and more living in the recording of what matters.
Because we're not promised the next minute at all. I mean, I could have a heart attack and fall over and die right now. We don't know when it's going to be the last time we talk to someone on the phone or see someone in person. And like my parents always ended every phone call with, I love you. So I've always done that. And whenever I see friends in person, I tell them I love them. And I may or may not tell them I love them via text quite frequently in an annoying way.
I don't know that you say that to me.
I'm pretty confident I've told you I love you in person. And that's just one thing that, especially after losing Chris, you're just not guaranteed that. And I mean, you're not guaranteed whenever, not to make it super fun, but whenever you see your kids in the morning and you send them off to school, we have been reminded time and time again, they don't always get to come home. Whenever I drop my youngest off, I 100% take a mental image of what she's wearing, tell her I love her, even though she's sassy and, 12 and she runs away, because I don't ever want to send her to school and have her last moment with me not know that I don't love her, and not know I love her. So we live in a world that's just, it's a weird timeline.
For this, up to this point, this era, we've had multiple eras, but this era thing. But what would you say is your overarching message of your life as far as summing up what it's taught you and what you would want that to look like?
Showing up matters and sharing is caring. Those are like my two.
What do you mean by that, though? Because I mean, that's kind of that's almost like a bless your heart kind of thing.
It means it's something as big as sharing a moment with a loved one, sharing a meal with somebody, inviting someone to the table and inviting someone to an event. Like sharing your life is with other people is important. Two is as minuscule and doesn't matter as much to y'all. I got this really cool item at Costco and I need everyone else to go buy it because it was really cool. So it's kind of runs everything. I invite everyone to everything because you just never know who needs to be invited to something, who's struggling, who, you invited someone to come to dinner and they're like, oh my gosh, I've been feeling so lonely. Or something I know whenever people are like, hey, do you want to hang out? I'm like, oh my God, you like me? Yay! We want to be friends. So it's just about sharing life because life is not meant to be shared. It's not meant to be by yourself. You're meant to share it. Yeah. So showing up is, and it was something that Mike, my husband now was like, I don't understand. What are we doing here? And I'm like, we're just here. It is when someone calls, because I'll just give the most recent example. My father-in-law had a heart attack 2 weeks ago. It was Friday night at 8 p.m. Mike and I were on a date night. We instantly dropped everything, drove to Arlington. He stayed in the hospital with his dad. I stayed at the house with his mom, and we were there. We just showed up. And it was his dad okay to be in the hospital by himself? 100%. He's a grown ass individual. He can do that. Is a hospital a sad place to be by yourself? 100%. So you show up. It doesn't matter if you called or another close friend called, or even a friend who was not even someone I would consider MySpace top 20 or whatever back in the day. Someone who called who I haven't talked to that often. They're like, I need help. Drop everything. Let's go. You show up. If someone has a bad day, I like to if I know about it, send things. Or, whenever you see things at a store, you get them for them and then you just drop them off and you just show up.
Which you literally did for me. I would make the argument, I don't think that's a waffle. I see it as a pancake because showing up is part of sharing your time, which is showing the caring. That would be my argument there.
Okay. That's fair. I've never thought about it like that. But yeah, it's something that my mom and dad always taught me is to just show up. That's how I grew up. So that's
because we're speaking about the concept of legacy, passing away, grief when we're no longer here. Something that I learned when my stepfather, who I was very close to, passed away suddenly. And it's something I've made a conscious effort of doing is when someone loses a loved one, I think in general, family or friends are really good at rallying in the moment and being there. What do you need? This, that, and the other. And that's great. At the same time, while people are grieving, that the more instant there's shock that's getting you through, there's adrenaline that's getting you through, and then there's all the things to do that get you through. And to me, it's how are you doing a month from now? How are you doing 3 months from now? If you lost your father, how are you on Father's Day? Those types of things. And there's been clients that, I don't know, there's just Because I mean, in my line of work, when it's probate, everybody has died. Like that's the story. And when I try to tell, when I'm doing presentations, like, oh, I've got a good story. I'm like, well, okay, you have to understand in all of my stories, somebody died. So other than that, though, this is a good lesson to learn, but you just have to accept my stories are like this. So my story about this is, my father passed away, but, that is when those moments. So when my stepfather passed away, very, very hard on my mom. And even though that was such a tremendous loss for me and continues to be, I was very much focused on her. And it was in August. So Father's Day was almost a year later. And I remember people who knew my story, somebody just brought me some flowers for Father's Day, like just no context to it. They're just like, hey, thinking about you. And that one hit me really hard because it was the first holiday, the first significant event that didn't have anything to do with my mom. It wasn't his birthday. It wasn't Christmas. It wasn't any of those things where it's like, their anniversary, like, how are you doing? How is mom doing? Like that was something that really, really hit me. And I just thought that was so special that somebody did that. And I've tried to, there's certain clients, this is what I was saying a moment ago, that their grief struck me. I'll just every couple months, just reach out.
It's not my whole story, but she's a big chunk of the story, is having a kiddo at 20, marrying and then divorcing, and then my first husband passing. Those are the main, whenever you were sending me the pre-questions for this, it was like, well, I mean, those are the top three every time. Cause having a kid at 20 is not ideal. It's not how anyone.
That was not planned.
Was not planned. No, she was not planned. I found out when I was 19 and I had her when I was 20 because, you're pregnant for, 9 months.
That's how human gestation works.
It happens. Yeah. But I didn't find out until I was 6 months along with her, just because I am an unusual female and I do not have a normal cycle. So it was never a flag and I didn't gain weight. And I had sickness, but I also was bulimic. So vomiting was not totally odd for me. So I didn't even notice it. So yeah, having her not super young, just young, was definitely a life-changing situation. Or I didn't believe in abortion before I had her. I thought abortion was wrong. And how could you abort a baby? How could you do it? And then I was 6 months pregnant and learned that Louisiana is the only state at the time in 2006 where you could go and get an abortion at 6 months.
Wow.
Did not know that. And so I've always said that there's a reason that God didn't let me know until I was 6 months along, because I don't know what would have happened if I would have found out earlier on during the whole pregnancy bit. So that changed my thoughts and feelings on abortion 100%, because I also grew up in a small town and we had very conservative thoughts and feelings and beliefs. And so I was like, oh, no, we don't believe in abortion. That's terrible. And then, hey, here's Candice, 19 years old, 6 months pregnant. And I was like, oh, well, I don't have another option. So here we go. Let's figure out how to be a mom. That definitely shaped me 100% because, I was a baby raising a baby. It doesn't affect me. Why am I going to get riled up? That one was a big one. And then just seeing how I also got a good taste of how our, public healthcare works whenever you are a lower income single mama. And that gave me a completely different side that I had never seen before. So it just gave me a lot of perspective of we're all doing the best we can most of the time. A little bit more grace. I don't always do the best of it 100%. I'm human. I fail. That was the biggest one, is I don't owe it to that old Navy guy for me to tell him my story.
No.
But also, Navy guy. I also didn't do anything to deserve that kind of verbal abuse coming at me. Whenever
That's
I was
just wild.
It was bonkers. I'm going to say my idea because it just wasn't what I expected out of a marriage. And it just wasn't.
Well, how old were you when you got married?
So I think I was 25. So I was a baby. He was 7 years older than me. I thought we had it made, he was successful, and he was an incredible guy and an incredible dad. He just wasn't the right guy for me. And so then getting divorced and walking through that, I want to say that was probably more shaping of who I am now and how I react to things than being a young pregnant single mama.
The actual divorce?
All of it. And whenever you're sitting there knowing you're asking to blow up your family, there's so many emotions you can't even shake. Like, it's just the gamut of emotions. And I was sitting there trying to still stay calm, remember, like, because I wanted to also give him the space and the opportunity for him to hear from me, like, why I was asking for this and not just a blubbery mess, and him walking away going, huh, okay. And I also want, like, anyhow, so I was sitting there writing it all down, and I felt all of a sudden this instant calmness. And I was not a religious person at this point in my life. We went to church off and on. I believed in God, but it wasn't like, prayer was not something I had been doing. I legitimately felt God put his arm around me. Like, it was the most calm I've ever felt in my entire life.
Wow.
And he settled me. Like, if I would have had one of those, like an Oura ring or something, I swear, I think my pulse would have been like 0, like almost dead, because I was so calm. It lasted for like 2 minutes. It wasn't very long. And it was just one of those moments where I was like, okay, I am doing the right thing here. Like, this is right for me and my family, because the question my counselor had asked me months before, if your kids were in this marriage, would you want them to stay in it? And I was like,
damn those counselors.
I was like, and instantly, like, you want your kids to have better than you had it, right? And they were usually find partners that reflect their parents, right? And I was like, no, this is not the relationship I want them to have. And so that was a huge, huge light bulb moment for me. And so then sitting there and feeling his presence and knowing, okay, because, there's so much shame and guilt and just so much wrapped into divorce. Like, how dare you? You got married. You made a vow. How dare you break this vow? You should just stay married. I mean, I had neighbors come up to me after the fact, got on the internet. This is before AI, right? And Collin County has all of the paperwork you need to file I think it's your separation paper. I actually don't remember all the legal terms, but where you can file for divorce or file for separation, I think. So I printed that out, filled it out, and submitted it. And then we had 60 days. Basically, it's a cooling off period in the state of Texas. And then on day 61, we showed up at the court, and we had filled out all the paperwork ourselves. And within that paperwork, we wrote like who got which vehicle. We didn't really divide the assets, because why would you, right? If you're doing it,
work it out.
We're working it out. And he didn't have any child support on there, because we both agreed, like, we're adults and we're going to talk through it.
We got this.
We got this. We were going to just communicate and share the load of the kids' financial together. Okay, great.
Okay.
So we get to the courthouse, and the judge asks me multiple times to confirm I was okay with $0 on child support. And I said, yes, sir. We got
like
it.
Hint.
We are gonna co-parent the pants off of it. Yes. And then I remember after it was all said and done, we walked down on the court steps and we hugged and kissed. And, I was like, we're gonna do this.
Best divorce ever.
We are grown-ups. We've got this. And it did work out for, the first few months where I had an email and I would send him every month, like, about shoes, field trips. Bop, 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 bop. Here's how much your half is. He would give me a check. Isn't that lovely? When it really came to bite me in the ass, then COVID hit. Yay, COVID. The worst thing that you can think happened May 2nd of 2020. Chris is at his parents' house and he fell over, and the girls witnessed it, and he was rushed to the hospital. Had to have emergency brain surgery.
Okay, but like, walk me through a little bit more. Like, I can't even believe that you're telling me, Candice, that the DIY divorce didn't actually work.
No.
And then he didn't have any sort of estate plan in place. I mean, and you can say these things generally, and I mean, I say them every damn day of my life, but what does it look like? Like, people need to understand, like, what does that look like when these things are done? In one sense, there was no plan. In the other sense, we thought we could do the DIY stuff, even though you don't even know whether it was called a separation or a divorce. Like, you don't even know, right? But certainly, you can draft complex legal documents and divide assets in a community property state with minor children.
So the day he fell, I didn't get notified until the day after is step one. And it's very important because that was just the catapult of everything that happened. I didn't know he was basically on life support, had brain surgery, like that my kids had seen it. He'd been taken by ambulance. I knew none of that until the very next day when his mom called and said, there's been an accident. Then what proceeded was terrible on both sides, to be honest.
What were you fighting about? Like, why was there anything to fight about?
Oh, I'll tell you. So since we didn't have a will and we didn't do the divorce the right way, everything all over, basically, like all over the place. So I remember getting to his parents' house one day. This is before he had passed. They had all of his bank accounts trying to figure out what needs to happen and what needs to be paid and all of that. And I was still logging on to pay the mortgage at this point in time for him for other reasons. And so I was helping them answer some questions. And then that's when it started getting very judgmental and accusatory towards my direction because there were some credit cards that had been started while we were still married, but after we were separated. There's been some charges that had racked up and things that Chris and I had already talked about and made an agreement on. So now not only did I divorce him and had to have these financial agreements and conversations with him, I'm now having to have those same conversations with his parents who are thinking it's all me and I am the reason these credit cards are here or the bills are here. And I remember a highlighter, us sitting down going over it because there was nothing in place for this to be taken care of by anyhow. So we go through all that and then he passes. It was very quickly after he died. His mom and dad were very prepared for his death because they had been talking to an attorney to get everything ready to go. They were doing the business side of it. Like you're talking about, there's so much things to do. And when someone is on life support, you do have that time to do the business side of death. Well, I didn't know the business side of death was happening. And then I believe I was served or papers were delivered. I can't remember which one. And it was me signing off for John being the administrator, which is his dad, because he didn't have a will. So we didn't predetermine an administrator.
In Texas, that's the same thing as what would be called an executor or personal representative. Just it's the person who is in charge of the deceased person's assets, debts, and any other legal responsibilities, like with children and so forth.
We both did things that were not great. And then we came back. Probate was finalized almost 2 years to the day of his passing. And it was something I would never put on my worst enemy because it caused so much terribleness. I don't have a better word for it other than just terribleness between family members. And it changed how I react to them with things. It changes how my kids react to them with things. And it really does. It sucks because he was an only child and I have no idea what that's like to lose your only child. No idea. I've lost an ex-husband and there are people that are confused. They're like, why are you sad? You divorced him. And I'm like, he's someone I had a baby with. I married, like, I still love him. Yeah. It's not like, oh, we got divorced. Now I'm like, oh, wait, just push you in the Grand Canyon. No, it's that whole thing. One made me believe that you should have a will. So I think it was December of 2022, Mike and I sat down, because we had just gotten married earlier that year. We sat down with his dad and we worked through all the questions of the will, which is incredibly hard questions, even for someone who's been through just the worst day of her life, which is telling your kids their dad died. It doesn't get worse, honestly. And it was terrible to sit down and talk it through all these if then what situations, but they are so vital. They're uncomfortable. They're hard. But dear God, I would have paid $1 million to go back in time and have that done for Chris and I.
Right.
Because it would have saved, I think our relationship with his parents would look so different. Whenever I think of Chris, his life and how it ended, it is starting to get better. They show up as soon as we say Emma has this, or when Mackenzie was in school, Mackenzie has this, like they're here. They show up for my kids. That's beautiful because I also want I want my kids to have a relationship with them because that is their only contact with Chris. Like Chris wasn't a super sociable fella. And so my parents and my family didn't really they knew him. He was a part of the family, but they didn't get to know him the way that like his friends did. And again, since we don't have any of those friends in our lives, they're the ones carrying the torch for Chris. Because I can share stories, but some of those stories, being divorced and him now passing, very conflicting in my head. I'm like, he's dead. But because we didn't talk to him for about a year. And then we slowly brought them back in there. I still do not allow my kids to be over there by them. Well, Emma to be over there by herself. Just because back from whenever I originally said, like, he fell, my kids witnessed it. I didn't get called until 24 hours later. I've been through so much counseling between the past 5 years on that. I don't think I'll ever get over that because you have my kids with you and my kids have witnessed a horrific incident.
Yeah.
And you don't call me instantly. No, you do not get them at your home by themselves. We do let them go to like Brahms or things like that, but I'm still very hesitant with things. Like there's things I would love, and I do think we're getting better at. And I know Emma, like she loves her grandparents. Mackenzie loves her grandparents. They love their grandkids. And at the point in time that all this went down, I truly think they thought they were doing what they thought was best. Grief is weird, a weird redheaded monster.
It's not when you're the most rational.
No.
Yeah. And like you said, because, we're both parents, the thought of losing your child, it's unbearable of a thought.
I can't even fathom the pain they have to be in. And so I, again, with lots of counseling, do believe, I don't think they were trying to harm me or the girls. It just came off very vindictive and very harmful. And it did do damage that I personally will not overcome for another, 5 to 7 years because of things on my credit that they chose to do.
If Candice did check out, but you're not going to, you've got at least 5 to 7 years to realize the dream of having that car off your credit.
One day.
But again, tomorrow is not promised. So if tomorrow is not promised, who do you have a message for and what is your message?
Well, we're going to start with the kids because it's the whole reason I wanted to do this.
Starting easy. Okay.
We're starting easy.
And go.
Emma and Mackenzie. I am so grateful to be their mama. To be on the sidelines and being here to cheer them on is not something I take for granted. Getting to go to their things, celebrating just the smallest wins or hearing the hottest when I pick them up from school or pick them up from the airplane. I do not take that for granted because that is not something their dad gets to do. And it is not something all parents get to do. And I am forever grateful that they tell me the tea and they text me funny things and we have an Instagram chat. I am forever grateful I get to be here and witness them have their own personalities. And Emma is going to set this world on fire. I just know it. I don't know what she's going to do yet. She's only 12. But you are going to set this world on fire in some way, shape, or form because, oh my God, you can't be contained in the best way possible. And Mackenzie, she's just got this old soul that she's going to be a teacher and she's going to touch so many little babies in the best way. And I cannot wait to hopefully one day celebrate her getting a Teacher of the Year award or just inviting her to her graduation party and letting her see just the ripple effects of what teaching can do. It's an absolute privilege to watch it, for just to be here for them. There's them. And then, of course, Mike, my husband, he is the person who saved us. We would not be here. Mackenzie would not be at the school she's at. We would not be here without him. We would be in a completely different way. And he loves my kids and Chris's kids like they are his own. He is the best bonus dad. I could never have been drawn a more perfect dad for bonus dad for them. He is my adventure buddy. He's the person who wanted to pick up and move halfway across the country to build an end dream for us. Oh goodness, he's the overthinker of us all. And he just really in the best way possible makes me think through all the things because otherwise I would start a million businesses and probably have a million different RVs. So,
not with your credit.
Not with my credit. Yeah, he bought the RV, not me. my mom and dad, they're here. It's a relationship that has its ups and downs, and we don't get to see them as often as I'd love to see them since they're not too far away. But they taught me to show up. And that is the biggest thing that I have put on my kids, is to show up. And they taught me to, well, they all had multiple jobs growing up, so I clearly never sit still because of that. They taught me so much, and I am grateful that I get to be their kid, and grateful they still get to be a part of our lives and be here. And then to you, Lorie.
I was kidding.
No. I always thought I was just a fluffy little kind of character. And I never knew how to contain myself. I always thought I was just a lot. And you embrace me and you accept my insanity, even when I was a realtor. You make me feel good to be me.